Mhm.
Welcome to Warrior Class.
Where the teachers whoop ass,
And you
and you
will
will
too.
too if you pass.
All right. This is the Relaxation for Warriors episode. Uh, it's much needed. Um, I know so many people that have passed, and we're going to deal with that
Yeah,
because
but
relax, you know, relaxation is difficult for people to relax. When I had a summer camp at the house, right? Let the wife convince me to get a summer camp at the house, and I don't know why this background behind us is like this, but I tried to change it,
listen,
but couldn't. Uh, that's thanks to Diallo. When you see that thing down there, but um,
oh, okay.
but I was teaching summer school was summer camp at the house. My wife convinced me to do it and did it one summer, never again. That was so much work. But at one, we would start off the day uh, breathing, deep breathing, meditating, relaxing. Right? Um, they could meditate, deep breathe. That was fine. I'd say lay down and relax. And the children from I had children from 4 to about 17. None of them could just lay there and relax. It was moving, and I said, just relax.
Yeah.
Just relax. They could they had to open their eyes, close your eyes, breathe, relax. They could,
Yeah.
and so
Imagine adults.
well, when I was in the military, in basic training, they learned to separate people who are fit for special operations from other people with simple things. So at one point, they had us all just stand, not at attention, just stand. So attention, people know what that is, but they had us, hey, so your legs are apart, shoulder width, you're at ease, you're relaxed. Just don't look, just look forward, keep looking forward. Don't move your head, don't move your eyes, just keep looking forward. So it's really not at ease, but they didn't want us to pass out.
Right.
So this was an exercise that went on for probably 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, it was our whole company, Delta Company. So it was about 100 people were moving their eye. They couldn't stand still for 5 minutes. Every time somebody moved their head, their eyes, we had to go for push-ups.
Oh man.
Getting to the point we wanted to beat people's ass, we did so many push-ups in
Mhm.
5 minutes. They said, okay, we're gonna bring it down to 2 minutes. Muds could not just focus and look forward for 2 minutes without moving. Don't know how to relax. All you gotta do is relax every time you're focused forward. They said, we'll bring it down to 1 minute. And they were like, if every time somebody moves their head, 10 push-ups. We had done so many push-ups, we could hardly hold our arms up. 1 minute, it was probably 30 brothers who couldn't just look forward. Well, not just brothers, white folk who could just men who couldn't just look forward. These grown men, they're young men. We were all young men. The oldest was 22, but they couldn't look forward. People in the world are in a hell of a state. We can't relax. We can't just sit there, relax. Uh, just look at a speaker. Watch people. A dynamic speakers up there, and people, they'll have you enthralled. What's enthralled? Enthralled means you pay attention for the 10 minutes that they speak or whatever, right? But most people, they're gonna look around and looking at they're looking at their phone, they're looking down at the floor,
Or just fidgeting.
right? Because we can't focus and we can't relax. We won't. It's an issue, right? And it's costing our lives. It's costing our lives, particularly if you are actively being an organizer, revolutionary, these things. Oh shit, a parent.
Yeah, Bo.
These things where you got to relax every day, but we can't. Do we have any news, or we'll just get right into it?
I don't have any news. I mean, other than the thing that you and I were talking about right before the podcast started, but we could probably cover it within the body of the information that we're going to go over anyway.
Exactly. Okay. So we'll get into it. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax. That may sound odd to people. The most productive thing you can do is relax.
Yeah, Bo.
Some people think, relax is for the lazy. Some people say, I'll relax, I'll rest when I'm dead.
Right.
Hey, well, you'll be dead soon.
Right.
Yeah, that Eugene Mason, I experienced something similar in boot camp. 40J Blaze says same at Eugene. Yeah, it's this thing, mind body connection. Yes. So relaxation allows you to connect mind, body, and spirit, right? Well, mind is spirit, but mind and body, yes. But when you don't relax, there's a disconnect.
Yeah, Bo.
Okay, so anyway, at times we get so embroiled in our hectic lifestyles, with deadlines to meet, obstacles to overcome, that we actually forget to relax. Even though relaxing periodically for just 5 minutes, by stepping away from what is causing our stress levels to rise, can give us the energy we need to tackle our workload or problem we are facing.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say I just experienced this just prior to the show. Saturday mornings are kind of hectic for me. My son has like a certain breakfast. I like to make sure I have that out of the way, and then we have the show. So I had made myself a cup of tea, and I was like, I'm gonna drink this tea in 10 minutes, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. Make sure I have it all done before the show. And I started drinking the tea, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna sit here because it was about 12:30. I was like, I'm gonna sit here for 20 minutes and drink this tea and just chill. And then I'm gonna get ready, and get everything ready for the show instead of trying to, just take all this time and do all these different tasks. Like, if you've ever really been stressed out, and I have, not that the things I was gonna do before the show were that stressful, but if you've ever really stressed out, then you know how productive it can be to actually relax.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for me, I setting everything up. I said, okay, I gotta bring myself down. So I went into the room and just played with Okikiola for a little while.
Yeah, that's nice.
You know,
Mm-mm-mm.
so all right. There are two types of stress, and I teach on this quite often in class because important when it comes to self defense.
Yeah, bro.
That's right. About yourself. There are two types of stress actually. Eustress and distress. Okay. Eustress is good stress. It energizes us, it motivates us to make a change. It gives us a positive outlook and makes us capable of overcoming obstacles and illness. Eustress. Take a second and think about what works as eustress for you. Is it exercising, practicing mindfulness, eating a fistful of edibles? A fistful of edibles. After a while, you're gonna be in distress, right?
Right. A fistful.
At first, you feel like you stress, maybe,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
you know, because you do an edible, you smoke or whatever, and you may feel paranoid or what have you. But there's also that euphoria, that relaxation. It's you stress, okay?
Right.
Uh, Watching Warrior Class, that may be what you do uh, for you stress, or listening to music. Okay, which one is yours? Distress is bad stress. So you got you stress, that's good stress. Distress is bad stress. Is what we normally think of as stress. So when I say, okay, what's your you stress? Some people may have to really think deeply uh, into that, right? Well, what's my good stress? But distress, you know it. You know what stresses you out, right? When people say that stresses you out, sometimes I say, well, did you stress you out? Or did it distress you out?
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Um, but distress, that's what we normally think of stress.
Right.
Both can affect our physical, mental, and emotional well being,
Absolutely.
how we react or behave. Physical symptoms such as headaches, tension in the neck and shoulders, dizziness, fatigue, and poor sleep can all be a result of distress.
Right.
Distress can also, you hear people, or the damsel in distress, right? Well, and that was a popular trope in fiction, the damsel in distress. Well, distress isn't just like, okay, she's getting tied to she they getting tied to a train track. It's your children wilding out after you just got home from work and your children just wilding out, right? And it can cause distress.
Yeah,
All right.
bro.
Um, Distress can affect our mental state too, so not just physical symptoms, right? As it elevates levels of the hormone cortisol, which can result in worrying, poor concentration, difficulty in making decisions, and uncontrollable thoughts. And to add to this list, emotional symptoms can present as irritability, feelings of being overwhelmed, anxiety, low self esteem, and depression. A person in a high state of distress can cause aggressive or defensive, or have aggressive or defensive behavior. They can avoid situations, have poor communication, they can drink too much alcohol, or smoke too many cigarettes, or smoke too much weed. I've seen people, they be have distress and they just pop out a cigarette.
Yeah.
Like that cools them down, and there's so many drugs in a cigarette before you get to caffeine. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what do you call it? Nicotine,
Right.
right? Uh, that you're just increasing your distress, really.
Yeah, that is the worst.
And then you smoke more cigarettes. My mother, until she had a heart attack, she thought she had lung cancer. She wasn't telling nobody, but it was actually she was having a heart attack. She was smoking 4 packs a day.
You're, oh my goodness.
4 packs a day. I said, Ma, I had a conversation. I said, so back in the day, it was what, 4 cigarettes a day that brought you, caused you a heart attack? She said, 4 cigarettes? She said, I was smoking 4 packs a day.
So she was just chain smoking
Oh,
all
yeah.
day.
I think about it, she never didn't have a cigarette in her mouth.
Wow.
And it was, she hold it, was, it was considered cool. My father. And they told me, men hold a cigarette like this, women hold like this. So there's a whole culture around it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they sit with the women sit with the legs crossed over. You know, they let the man light it back in those days.
And it's funny because that really illustrates, and I've talked about this before, just the extent that advertising has over the effect that advertising has over our behavior. I mean, where did they see that?
Right,
What
right.
solidified that in their mind that this is how you do, like it takes up parts of your life. It makes you sick. It does all kinds of things
Well,
because there are well-moneyed people that have decided this is what we're going to do, and they just put it in front of you all the time, and you think you thought of it yourself.
and so my mother grew up in Yazoo, Mississippi. I would
Yeah.
wager there weren't any billboards, but my grandfather read a lot, encouraged his the 13 children to read a lot, right? So they all read a lot. Um, my mother encouraged me. That's why I read a lot. Well, in those books, the Penny Dreadfuls, they had little pulp books and all. They had advertising for cigarettes in them.
Wow.
That's where my grandfather, I'm sure, got his smoke. Well, I don't know if that's where it started, but
Right.
I'm sure that pushed towards smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then my mother, same thing, was seeing my grandfather smoke. I don't know, and then coming to Chicago, well, first Baton Rouge, or my mother would say it's Baton Rouge,
Mm-hmm.
Baton Rouge, and then going from there to Chicago, I'm sure that influence too. Because now you're talking bigger cities with Baton Rouge and a really big city with Chicago. So I'm sure the influence was stronger there. My father, same thing. I got to ask my mother. Well, by the time she met him, they were in Chicago. But before that, I wonder, was he smoking? He's from the hills. He's from Vaughn, Mississippi, right? Were they smoking? Uh, until they got a hold of, So those questions, things I'm going to ask my mother now that we're doing this, because you're in a small country town. Where'd you get this thing about smoking? Where granddad get the thing about smoking? Right, to the point. She said my grandmother would be mad because he'd go to sleep.
Oh, wow.
He gonna burn the house up.
Right. Yeah.
So she'd be going off on him and job, but so
Well, they might not have had billboards, but they had, just like you said in the book, little posters everywhere. Every time you go into the store,
probably saying
everywhere.
white folks smoking.
Right. And of course, if they what is it? If they have a cold, we have cancer. I can't remember what
Right.
the phrase is, but that one's good enough. If the white folks want it, we definitely want it.
You want one of these cigarettes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. You know,
Right. Like a nice
uh,
little pat on the head.
although there were cigarettes in Africa before white folks ever even existed. So in the Arab speaking countries in Africa, and in of course Arab speaking countries in the so-called Middle East in Asia, they they tobacco, right? Taba. So they smoke uh over there. Drink more.
Mm.
Drinking is heavy, at least in West Africa, it's heavy. I They drink a lot from children on up to adults.
Oh wow.
In the
I
bush.
didn't realize
Now
that.
in the city, you see it less, but in the small town, shit. Boy, I wish I had that thing that Jared and them use. Shit. Mud. Um, so alcohol, smoking, it can exacerbate mood disorders too. Being distressed for long periods of time can also cause fatigue. So a lot of people under distress, they don't want to get up. Okay.
Right.
Byproducts of stress hormones can act as sedatives. So byproducts of stress hormones can act as sedatives. When such hormone byproducts occur in large amounts, which will happen under conditions of chronic distress, they may contribute to a sustained feeling of low energy or depression. Um, at one point, I went through depression, right? And I didn't want to do nothing. Well, except write. I would write, and I didn't see nothing wrong. My wife, did you eat? I mean, nah, I eat later. I'm working. And she's like, babe, you got to eat. She called me from her shop. Babe, you got to eat. And I didn't see there was a change, but she did. I'm like,
Right.
I'll eat later. I'm working. And I'm like, I'm always working. I'm teaching martial arts. I'm writing a book. I'm always doing. So I don't have time to be eating. So
Right.
that was different for me, right? I couldn't sleep. I'd be up till 5 in the morning, and I get up 6:37. Right.
I've
So
been
what's
there.
going on? Well, I was trying to get a disability check, right? Pulling the move. I ain't gonna bullshit. So they said you got to see a psychologist as part of getting the disability check. Now, I got injured at work. What they got to do with psychology, right?
Right.
This is a move they pull on us anyway. But so I went and saw a psychologist, saw a psychiatrist, and they both diagnosed me with depression. The psychologist said I had moderate depression. The psychiatrist said severe depression. Of course, she says that because that way she can push medicine to me.
Right.
I ain't taking no psychotropic drugs, right? But the psychologist told me the way to deal with that is just to, well, first he said, go out with your family, this and that. Spend time with your family, man, get out. I said, well, I got work to do. He said, your health is more important than that work. Get out, go out. I started going out, walking with the family and everything. I felt much better. Much
That's
better.
great.
Now the psychiatrist said, I told her I refused to told the psychologist it was a brother. The psychiatrist was a Indian woman. I'm talking about a woman from India, right? She said, he refuses to take the medicine. So the psychologist said, why you feel? The psychiatrist said you refuse to take the medicine. I said, yeah. I said, because goddamn, it causes iterative thoughts. I said, thoughts of suicide. I said, iterative thoughts. It's a 2% chance that I could commit suicide. He said, it's just a 2% chance, man. I said, are you serious? 2% is high as shit to me that I can kill myself. If I pull out my pistol right now and said, you got a 2% chance I don't blow you away, you're gonna be scared as shit. You'll be pissing your pants. I said, so nah, man. That's no for me. I'm not doing that, right? So he said, well, and why can't they tell me this in the first place? He said, eat microbiotic foods. Why can't you tell me that in the first place? Right? Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. And I know you gotta get to your part on me, Nikki, but got somebody at the door.
Okay.
I'm running just in case.
Okay.
Never know who at the door.
Stay chiseled, Baba.
Oh, always. Who is it?
One thing I was going to mention, Baba talked about cortisol, and also toward the end talking about how depression. Baba.
I'm doing a show. I can't deal with that right now. Can you come back later?
Just hold on, y'all.
Yeah, you have to come back later. Thank you. I don't know who that is, what they were saying. They got on some kind of weird uniform. I can't read the words through my door.
Wow.
So they won't be, I'm like, yeah, you got to come back later. He like, yeah, I'm going all around or something. He's pointing at house across the street. I
Right.
don't know what the hell he's
Which
talking about.
doesn't mean anything.
Right, he can just chill out there.
Right.
But if he on the porch too long, I'm gonna have to make him leave because my family be leaving in a second. So he's gonna have to leave in a minute.
Well, one thing I was about to start
So,
talking about was
hold on, real quick. Somebody, Baba, do you have a service connected disability? Uh, Eugene said he does. No. Um, I was working at Office Depot and got into really threatened me. The manager was talking about he's not afraid of me. He knows I'm a martial artist. He wasn't afraid of. He's talking about my student Kunle who used to work there and left. He's like, Kunle, he left before we fired him, and he thought he was tough too. I never told you I was tough. He said, I'm a martial artist. I got a black belt in karate, and I whoop somebody's ass. I said, well, who's the somebody you talking about? And he said, well, you. I said,
oh.
I got up. I locked the door. Said, let's throw down then, God damn it. I said, I'll beat your ass and his, the assistant manager. Assistant manager, I didn't say anything. I said, well, you up in here, man.
Right.
You gonna
Part
get
of it.
two white dudes tell me you gonna whoop my ass. Well, let's do it. I said, let's do it. I said, first of all, Kunle would have beat your ass. I said, but I'm a whole nother level beyond Kunle. Let's do this shit then, punk. Like that. Just the manager. I don't care if I'm about to lose my job. I didn't lose my job. But I underestimated him. He said, all right, man, forget. I said, oh, I can't forget that. The manager just threatened me. He said, look, we'll just, I didn't say what I said. You didn't say what you said. I said, oh, I said what I said. I said, let's throw down, punk. Like that. He said, let's just forget about it. Let's just forget. Just go out there, move the boxes and everything. We'll talk later. So I'm moving reams of paper. It's only supposed to be 3 reams of paper. That's by law on the pallet jack. Because each of those reams are heavy.
Okay.
The assistant manager keeps stacking them. So it's way up there, right? I'm like, hey, this is against violation. He said, don't worry about it, man. We can do this quick. I said, okay. He said, I'll help you. So he's pushing, I'm pulling the pallet jack because it's heavy as shit.
Right.
There's a space in the floor. So, I guess with the difference in heat, there's no cracking in the floor. So there's a space. It's a good one, So I'm trying to pull the pallet jack over, which normally works, but it's so heavy. I said, man, I can't get it over. He said, well, I'm going to give it a push. And you give it a push. Here's the setup. I said, right. I don't think so. He said, yeah, just pull. I'm going to push. I said, I don't think so. He pushes. And the ream of paper comes out. Boom, breaks my jaw. Oh, boom, another one, boom. Dislocates my shoulder. I go black. I said, in my mind, as I'm going back, I said, these motherfuckers trying to kill me. Mm-hmm. And I refuse to fall. Boom, I'm getting hit by another one. Breaks my collarbone. Boom, get hit by another one. Hits me on the top of the head, drops me to my knees, right? And then I move because I'm like, another one hit me, it's going to kill me. So I move. Boom, they're coming down. I look to see when he's steady pushing. You can hear him falling. They're trying to kill me. So I get up.
It's crazy.
I go up front. They said, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm hurt. They said, get on the register. Not go home, but get on the register. So at this point, I said, okay, I'm going to sue these motherfuckers. So I said, okay. There's a dude there who worked there who was a chiropractor. He was at Life University. He's getting ready to graduate, right? So he knows the chiropractor. He said, you got injured like them, talking to everybody. He said, look, man, I got a friend that's a lawyer. You call them, and they'll set you up as I'll be your chiropractor, right? So he's seeing dollar signs or whatever. I said, yeah, okay. I'm like, man, I'm calling my people. So I call my priest, and he gives me a number to call. This brother who's his last name Knox. He's an attorney. I call him. He said, I don't handle injuries, but I give you a person who does. And call her Marcy. I forget her last name. She's Jewish, but it turns out she does uh, their form of spirituality. So as I'm telling her what the priest is telling me, how this thing needs to go with the lawsuit. At first she's like, no, no. When I told her, well, my priest told me I should tell you that. Her assistant said, oh, why didn't you say so in the first place? Her assistant's a sister. She said, that's what we're talking about. And so then they pretty much let me guide them through my priest on how the lawsuit went. And I won the lawsuit and got more money than anybody's ever gotten for, because I had to go through surgery. You've heard me talk about my shoulder being cut away.
Right.
It was from that. And so subacromial decompression is what that surgery is called. I had to have that done. Mm-hmm. And I got more money than anybody's ever gotten for having to go through that surgery.
Wow.
In an injury case. So, because at first she was like, we can't ask for that amount of money. I said, well, and that's why I told her, I said, well, the priest said to tell you, if I said, for me to say it, my ancestor said to say it. So she's like, oh, I'm with it. That her assistant, why didn't you say so? She said, oh, I'm with it. Let's do it then. And she went forward with that, and they said, okay. But they said I can never step foot in Office Depot anywhere ever again. I said, cool. I don't want to come in your janky ass store anyway.
Right.
You know.
Especially after all that.
And when I needed stuff like, you know, paper, and I sent my wife. My wife would just walk in there and get the shit. I've been, you know, and I'm just in the parking lot, you know, out there standing outside so they can see me. You know. So,
wow.
But yeah, so I manifesto, yeah. He said Staples it is. Yeah, I would go to Staples.
Right, wherever.
If they didn't have what I needed, then, you know, I would send my wife into Office Depot. But yeah, you know, Office Depot is cold like that.
Yeah.
And they went and this one sister who worked there, who was a manager, Pat. I'm saying her name. I won't say her last name. I'm not gonna do that. Her name's Pat. She spent overnight there to clean up the mess so it didn't look like anything was in violation. Other stuff that was in violation there, because they had plenty that was in violation. She cleaned all that shit up because they knew I was gonna go to an attorney, and they figured they gonna come and take pictures. So they cleaned all that shit up.
They do.
Corporate America is there is a devil.
Absolutely. I was gonna say that your experience also highlights and I'm sure the warriors that are watching this right now probably are aware of this, but whenever you go into, if you are in a position right now that you are working for someone, whenever you go into a meeting with the managers, you should be on record, no matter what it is. And then after it's over, if it was just something minor, you can always erase that. But I learned that from working at a corporate job.
Yeah, I wish I had done that.
Yeah, when I went into meetings, I would make sure I recorded, because they would be trying to say all kinds of crazy things to me. And I just wanted to make sure I had a record of it, just in case something happened, just like what happened with you.
I've had, you know, I mean, 2 times at that time. And then when this principal, Dean Leeper, I'll say his goddamn name, Dean Leeper, at Kendesi School, they moved him. And it was a whole move. This one brother who I know, they had him up there as the principal because they figured people were gonna. It was a new experimental school. They're gonna have, and Kendesi, African word, right? You got this brother who is a so-called priest. I won't say so-called. He's a priest. You have him up there as a principal, but he wasn't really the principal. There was a deal. He would be the face for that school to
Right.
get black students there, and then they gave him a KIP school. So we went on the strength that he was the principal. And then he wasn't. It was Dean Leeper who was the principal. Well, a teacher there says, I know, and we'll get back. I'm sorry, I know your part coming, but I'll say this quick.
Okay.
Teacher says she's teaching about slavery in class, our enslavement, right? And she says, somebody says something ignorant in the class. She says, that's why blacks were slaves. He comes home and tells me and his mother. I say, what? So I called for a meeting with that teacher. I complained, and I said, how was it? No. First, the principal called my house to say he wants to speak to our day. I said, who is this? Some grown man. My son was at that time, I think, 8. So who is this?
What?
This is, he didn't even announce who he was. This is Dean Leeper, the principal. I said, well, you speak to me. I'm his father. What is it? He said he complained, because first I did complain, that the teacher said, all blacks were slaves. Or, I think he heard wrong. I said, he didn't hear wrong. I said, in fact, I'm coming up there to talk to her tomorrow. He said, well, I'll meet with you. And they had 2 teachers in the thing. That's why it was experimental. It was like 6 to 10 students, I think, in the class, but 2 teachers in the class. Not a teacher and a teacher's assistant, 2 actual teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting how they did it. It didn't work. But so we go to meet with them, me and my wife. And Ade is in class, and the white woman, she, gets teary-eyed after actually what my son told me. He said, I would never do that. I said, oh, you did it, because he's not just making up that.
Right.
And the sister comes at me. She takes off her sweater. She says, Ade says, you don't like white people very much. I said, okay.
It's a good thing they have you to stand up for them too, isn't it?
I said, and I said, look at you, sister. This white girl is crying her crocodile tears, and you taking off your sweater like you about to throw down, and you're gonna say that. First of all, I don't teach my son not to like white folks or whatever. I said, I don't have that discussion with him. If my son don't like white folks, God damn it's because he's seen shit like her. I said, so you ain't gotta look far to have an anger with or a distaste for white people. I said, but he would have loved until you took off your goddamn sweater, because I'm gonna tell him what you did. Till you take up your goddamn sweater like you gonna throw hands with me. I said, if you move to throw hands with me, my wife would knock your ass out. My wife said, yes. I said, so sit your ass down and chill out, lady, like that. And then she get teary-eyed. I said, oh, this shit's ridiculous. And Dean Leeper says, the principal, you see what you've done? I said, what I've done? I said, dude, we're not going to play that. I'm not the one to come in here and get played this guilt game.
Right.
She's crying because she's caught up. She's crying because she got checked. In a minute, you're going to be crying because you're going to get checked.
I know, that's right.
After that, Ade was in line. Ade's a talker. Dean Leeper's going through the hallway. Just like 2 days later, he says, Ade, come to my office, because he's pissed off what happened. And Ade was, what did I do? He said, sit down. I said, what did I do? He grabs Ade's shirt and punches him in the shoulder and makes him sit down. We had to take Ade to the hospital. We get called. Ade, complain, I'm hurt. We go to the school, get him. We take him to the hospital. After Dean Leeper didn't see us, counselor saw us, Dean Leeper, Ade was being rebellious. Dean Leeper made him sit down. I said, made him sit down, and how his shoulder get hurt. We take him to the doctor. Shoulder has a torn ligament from his mother. And Ade tells what happened. So I was going to do things to Dean Leaper. Okay. Uh,
That he earned.
yes. But I knew. I said, oh, well, I got blocked when we took him to the hospital and he's injured like that. I had to talk to the police. I said, I'm not talking to the police. I said, it's okay. It's okay. It's, you know, the nurse, father, don't do what you're planning to do. I said, I'm not planning to do anything. I'm a man of peace. I'm a man of peace. I'm not planning. I said, father, please, you know, we have to call the police. I said, please don't, you know, just let me leave. I don't mess with the police like that. You know. I said, we have to. So they called the police. The police took a report. I said, God damn. So it's on record. So if something happened to this fool, it's on record that, and I'm sure they told him that I was, you know, being agitated, and they can never say I said I wouldn't do nothing to him. Well, I went to the school to take our day out. So this is the second time he locks the door. He says, you know, I heard you're a martial artist. Well, I am too. And you're taking our day out. You know, obviously you don't like what happened. You don't like what I said, motherfucker, you hurt my son. Just like that. Motherfucker, you hurt my son. It's all I can do. And I took I can Bobo with me to calm me down so I don't get arrested for murder. I said, it's all I can do not to whoop your ass. He said, well, we can do it in here if you want to. But it may not. Now he said, it won't be my ass getting whooped. I said, oh, baby, let's do this shit. I got up. He wasn't expecting me to get up. I got him, start going towards him. He's looking nervous, so he stands up.
Oh, he was just prepared to talk.
I said, dude, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to try not to kill you. I can't guarantee. I'm going to hurt you real bad. And I'm coming at him. He's backing up. And I notice the other, so that door is locked in the front, but he has the other door cracked open. I said, this motherfucker set me up. He figures he could survive. It wasn't going to be me hitting him one time. He figured, you know, he a martial artist. He'd been hit before. He could take that. He didn't know what I was about to do. And it was going to be one hit. The rest was going to be two. I was going to end him. Mm-hmm. Right? And I noticed that. And I look and I see a shadow. He had a teacher listening. They were setting me up. Probably recording me.
Right.
I said, oh, you a smart one. Just get my son's transfer papers, bitch. And I sat down. He left, had another teacher come in and do this shit because he didn't want to deal with me no more. I saw this clown at the other school my son was at. He came trying to recruit for KIP. They moved him into KIP after that, right? And I saw his ass. He tried not to look at me. You know, I stood at his table. Me and the wife were leaving. I said, oh, no. I got to do this. I'm staring at him at the table. He looks up and smiles. And y'all gonna say, babe, let's just go. I said, I can do him right now. I can just walk by that table and do him real quick.
I know that's right.
Babe, you know, it's been a couple years now.
That's the perfect time.
Right. And if I saw that clown now, I would have to fight the urge to fuck him up. Just so you know. So Dean Leaper, if you're watching, if you see me first, you better move on me or you better run. Because if you say the wrong thing, it's me and you, partner. Mm. And that's for real.
Yeah, he's
so
lucky.
That's the other person. So if your child's in Candazy school and you watching this, he ain't there no more, but just be careful. And I don't even think Candazy exists. It became something else. And if he's in KIP, your child's in KIP, you're in Atlanta and you know Dean Leaper, that's Dean Leaper. That's your principal. And I'm sure other people have stories about his ass. He ain't shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He ain't shit.
Definitely.
But anyway.
Oh, yeah. So when you got up, well, one thing I was gonna mention,
Real quick, I manifest is Dean Leeper, Leeper. Okay, just so you know. All right, I'm sorry.
you talked about cortisol
Mhm.
and the different effects that it can have on you, and also being distressed for long periods of time, how depression can lead to low energy. One thing with cortisol is that it is one of the things responsible for that heaviness in the belly area. So, that's another effect that you can have from all these different things happening as far as distress goes, and stress in general, is that cortisol causes that big belly.
Mm.
So think about that. There are those out, many of us who exercise and have been exercising for a while and can't figure out why we can't get rid of that belly. That could be one of the reasons, being stressed out.
Oh snap! Jackie Lukemon's in the chat. Hey, greetings,
Oh,
Jack.
peace, greetings.
What? Save every email record, every meeting. HR is not there to help you, but to protect the company. Right,
HR works for them.
right, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I learned that and even when you have meetings with people, and there, it's it's an environment of aggression, right? Like
Hmm.
my son was hurt. I should have recorded that myself.
Absolutely.
You know, um, I did bring somebody with me because I knew where I was going to go with that, right? Uh, Easily, that could have gone somewhere, and it was going to go somewhere if I hadn't. And I'm pretty good with that from my training, my military training, especially paying attention to what's going on in the whole environment, even if I have to do something, if I have to enact violence, right?
Right.
You have to still be aware. You can't be in an emotional state.
Yeah, boy.
That's one of the few times I was in an emotional state because it happened to my son,
Right. Of
but I was able to
course.
still be aware of what's going on.
Hmm.
Because if you let yourself get so mad, you don't know what's going on. You just seeing him, and I'd have taken him out of here and been caught up.
Immediately.
Right.
Right.
So even if I broke out and ran, they got me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I can both like being there with him. And when he locked the door, I can both like being out there meant nothing.
Right.
He couldn't get in. He said he was wondering, like, damn, Bala gonna lock the door? I said, no, that was him. You know, because he was like, he
Damn,
walked in here not to, and he
yeah.
locked the door with the man. I said, no, I didn't do it that time. I ain't locked
He's like, he knew that was one of your moves.
the door. Right. So I can both like thinking, it's me. Like, nah, that was Dean Leeper. He was cold with that. Somebody just said a
Mhm.
teacher smashed their arm, I think it was IMFS, into the wall with their chair. It's some crazy.
Yeah, these teachers are wild.
Like, whoo, boy. See, they make people. When I was little, a teacher had beat the hell out of this child, and they could whoop us if it was permission. But she didn't sign permission to his mother. Teacher beat that child. She came up there, beat that child. Beat that teacher into a coma with a bat.
Wow.
That shit was all over the news, right? Um, Shit. She was beating the teacher with we cheering. The students, hey, she did it right in front of a bloody mess.
Oh,
Right? What in the cafeteria? It wasn't my teacher, right? All them teachers, they putting their hands on us. Mr. Hasagawa, he grabbed, he crushed their heads together. Two children, fucking them up. They got headaches after and shit. Just crazy shit.
yeah. Just imagine, there are people who get into that profession, and I'm sure at the time where it was more accepted for them to put their hands on children, I'm sure there were people who got into the profession specifically so that they could do that. There are definitely those people out there.
Well, it led to my father, getting his neck broken in a car accident. he, so the principal at my elementary school, Crown Elementary, um, got into, fucked this one boy up who was fucking with, trying to push me down the stairs, stabbed him in the neck with a pistol. The principal and his father, my parents weren't there. They were grilling me and shit, all kinds of stuff. So after grilling me, telling me I'm crazy, this and that, the principal tells the father to leave. and he tells me to go in his bathroom, the principal, the principal's office. Go in his bathroom, turn the lights out, and he beat take down my pants. He beat the hell out of me, right? I come home telling my parents about it. My father said, "Wait, hold on." He turned the lights off and told you to take your pants down. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Let me see your booty, boy." I said, "See my booty?" I'm not understanding. I'm 8 years old, 7 years old.
Right.
See my booty? He said, "Let me see your booty, boy." I said, "Oh, okay." I pulled down. My parents looking.
Right.
I
Trying
just
to.
him behind me whispering. I'm like, "What are they doing looking at my booty?" You know. And he said, "What else did he do?" I said, "He whooped me." My mother said, "Did he, touch your booty with his hand, or, you know, put his fingers in your booty?" I'm gonna put his fingers in my booty. Like, oh my god, why would he do that? And so, uh, my mother like, we just got to make sure. He said, "All right, boy.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, boy. Put your pants up. Put your pants." He decided then he was going to the school. He was gonna. He didn't like the vice principal. They knew each other from the streets. He was going to walk into the school, kill Mr. Lewis, the vice principal. He said the shot was going to make, and we talked about this while he was in the hospital. Shot was going to make Mr. Bond come out. That's the principal's name. Come out like, what's going on? He said he's going to blast him. He was going to kill the secretary because he couldn't leave nobody, witnesses, and he was going to walk out the school like he did nothing, and then go to Canada, and that's where we would meet up with him in Canada. He was deadly serious, right? But on the way there, he was driving across Ogden Avenue, got hit by an 18-wheeler. Flew out
Whoa.
his car, knocked him out of the car. We talked to people around there. They said, we saw him do one of them rolls you be doing, unconscious. He just been doing it so long. He was
Right.
unconscious and doing
Muscle
that's what
memory.
saved his life from him just dying. But he broke his neck still, right?
Wow.
We at the hospital, worried about it over that. And so then my mother he was in the hospital, so my mother took care of Mr. Bond. Not killed him, y'all. My mama's still here. So I wouldn't even told this story. There was
Mm-hmm.
my father's transition. My mother said she didn't kill him. She punked him real bad. I was shocked. I've seen my mother do things. I never seen my mother do this, right? And so you have dangerous people out here, right?
Oh yeah.
I just pray that if your child is in that situation, you're fit or you have comrades that are fit to handle that shit.
Yeah, bro.
However,
Absolutely.
that has to be handled.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine if a principal, especially nowadays, told our day to pull his pants down in a dark bathroom and
Why?
yes, right. Why was that going? He got to get touched just for that.
Right. That sounds fetishistic.
Right. And this dude
Mm-hmm.
ended up, his own wife ended up signing petitions against him because he was raping teachers, including my godmother. All this. Oh, and by the way, and I went to high school with his son. His son really didn't talk to me because he knew that I knew. The teacher's name is Louis Bond. Given these, because these are dangerous people. He ain't still in the school, so I don't know if he's even still alive. His son is Louis Bond Jr. I can't say his son doing no crazy shit. I knew nothing crazy about him. But his daddy, shit, man. So you got some dangerous folks. Now, that
Mm-hmm.
was public school. Our day's school was not public school. It was a charter school. I guess that's still public. I don't know exactly how that works.
Yeah, I guess my son has always gone to
After
African centered schools. Yeah, so I don't know the difference
So we
between.
sent, after that, we sent him to Pro Academy and everything. And I taught at Pro Academy myself, martial arts, and I taught creative writing there,
Yeah.
and helped children get ready for the SAT. Anyway, I'm sorry, Nikki.
That's all right. Okay, check out these signs, symptoms, and effects to see if you are experiencing true distress. Oh, excuse me, see if what you are experiencing is truly distress. You don't need to have all of the symptoms. A combination of 2 or 3 of these symptoms experienced regularly is an indication of distress that needs attention. These signs are flying off the handle easily, tired all the time, general aches and pains, sweaty, can't sit still, nerves on edge, constant fidgeting, and headache. Symptoms that you need to look for are achy joints, feeling feverish, can't sleep, lack of appetite or can't stop eating, chocolate cravings, upset stomach, mild chest pain, and decreased sexual desire. And the effects that we need to be looking for are confusion, crying unnecessarily, sudden anger, erratic decisions, nothing seems to be going right, and loneliness. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have experienced, a lot of these effects and signs and symptoms. So we just need to make sure that we're keeping a check over them so that we can do what we need to do to get ourselves in a situation where we're not so stressed out. And there was one thing I was going to mention, Baba. After the job that taught me that I needed to be on record when I went into the manager's office. That was actually the job that I had for many years prior to COVID. Then I ended up being laid off because of COVID because that industry really needed tourism to stay to exist basically. So right after that, I started taking these long walks with my son. Like we would take these 3, 4 mile walks every day. And it had such a huge effect on all the different things, all these different signs and symptoms and effects that I was experiencing had such a huge effect on me. The fact that I wasn't going to that job every day, and the fact that I actually had time, I spent time in nature, because we walked to, it's some kind of, it's next to a water, I think it's next to a lake, but there's so many different, in Georgia, we have Stone Mountain and different mountain structures that kind of are small offshoots of Stone Mountain.
Nola Mountain.
And yeah, we were over in those areas looking at nature, seeing turtles, seeing, frogs and different things like that. And it completely turned me around as far as all these different symptoms that I was experiencing.
Yeah. You know, for me, it was the walks and everything too. Jackie said, "Okay, this is much of this is me every day for the past 2 years." Uh, yeah, so there's definitely signs of distress, right?
Right.
Uh, and we just have to find ways to bring that down. And
Right.
we're going to get
It's
into
not worth it.
methods. Yeah, it's dangerous. And a lot of us are dealing with that. Myself, I'm listening to. I'm like, shit. That I had most of that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, especially when after having a stroke in 2012, I had 7 strokes at one time, 7 cerebellar strokes. Right. Went to the hospital. 4 days later, I was back teaching martial arts. People say, "Oh shit, you're Iron Man or whatever." Some people said you shouldn't have done that. You should have gave yourself more rest. I was good. I had to heal through that time, but if I didn't do it because before you know,
I'll be right back.
I didn't teach for some months, and all those symptoms and signs and effects I was going through. I can't not be doing something physical, particularly I can't not do martial training, whether it's picking up a gun and going to an outside range, or whether that's engaging with somebody hands on, which is what I prefer. Um, Not like out fighting them, but in class, right? Uh, I have to do that or I'm going to stress out. I'll be in distress. So for me, it's doing that. For other people, it may just be, sitting on their balcony and looking at the water or looking at shit, people walking by. Whatever it is, give yourself that about 5 minutes a day if you can. Get some type of relaxation in. Or writing may do it, For me, that's another form of it. People say, how do you write so many books? Because I'm able to bring down stress that way. Okay, how to handle stress. Let's look at 10 effective ways of dealing with distress. Number one, if you're getting into a stressful situation, back out of it if you can. It seems simple, but we all know it's not. You get into an argument with somebody, it's hard to just walk away, but it's better to wait until later or just avoid it altogether unless it's something you have to deal with. If that's the case, then do number two. Stop and take 10 slow and deep breaths. Keep your entire focus on the breath. There's also a great relaxation technique you can do anywhere, anytime. I think I've talked about this before, but sit in a comfortable position and close your eyes. Curl your toes up as tight as you can. Tighten those muscles, right, in your feet. And hold them for a few seconds. Okay. Move up to your feet, as I said, then tighten those muscles and relax. Okay. Keep moving up your body to your calves. Tighten them. Hold it for 5 seconds or so, then relax. Okay. Keep moving up your body to your thighs, to your buttocks, to your abdomen, to your back. You're tightening, holding it, and relaxing. All right. All the way to your scalp. You scrunch your scalp and relax. After you do that, you feel good. It feels amazing, right?
Absolutely.
And that should make you feel better. Okay. Number three, pay close attention to the language of the conversation in your mind during a stressful situation.
Wow.
Most of the time, your mind isn't on your side. Make a conscious effort to slow down your rate of speech and think about each word. Regretful things are often spoken during stressful moments. So if you think 5 times before you speak, as they say, right? Just listen. In your mind, you say this. Your child, we talked about last week. Uh, uh, one of the members of the chat said, I said, fuck off, mom. I asked, you know, Ominiki and Bile what they thought. Ominiki said, I slapped the shit out my son. He tells me that. Well, a lot of us will say, I slapped the shit my child say, but just stop and think about the words you're using before they come out your mouth, right? Because one, you can hurt a person. Sometimes you can't pull it back. And two, you can actualize the things you say.
Yeah, well.
When I told Dean Leeper, I'm going to hurt you bad. I still, feel that. But if it was under a less extreme situation where my son wasn't hurt or whatever, and I'm going to hurt this motherfucker, you have to stop and think about it first. And I've had to do this one a bunch of times. Mother disrespect me, because it's easy to get in your ego. Say, no, break this motherfucker's neck. But did what they say deserve a broken neck? So we have to stop and think. Or sometimes we have to stop and think, this motherfucker said this, and I just crack back But should I break his neck? You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to think some motherfuckers what they say or do, usually what they do, not what they say, deserves a broken neck. I can't
I
say.
was gonna say just so we're clear, fuck off, mom.
Well,
Slap
fuck
the
off,
shit out
mom.
of a
I
child
said
is a
think about it.
proportionate
I said think
response.
about it first.
Right.
They say, okay, this boy just said, maybe it's another way. Maybe just take everything he has in life,
That's
or
true.
maybe he just needs shit slapped out of him.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll
but at
think
least
about
you
it.
gave thought to it.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Um, 4, identify persistent and recurring problems and people that are inducing stress and try to solve or avoid them as appropriate. If there's something that bugs you every single day, let's say, an annoying squeaky door, oh, that mug, right? It's like, God damn the door. And I'm thinking about that because the outside door, when I open it, I was, God damn it, right? Because at night, see, my wife be listening. At night, I may order, me some stuff to drink. I may order myself, from Dunkin' Donuts or a goddamn coffee late at night. And my wife would be, what are you drinking coffee late at night for? And she gonna be on my ass, right? Ah, don't do it. And so I go to the door. I hit them up. Do not ring the bell. Plus, got a baby. I don't want you to wake her up. And then I open the door, trying to be, you know, smooth with it. You go, oh shit. So
Good.
then my wife said, "What are you doing?
Good.
What are you doing?" I was caught up.
That's why you need to stop doing that. That is terrible.
So if it's a squeaky door, order it, uh, or whatever it may be. You don't need trivial things adding to your stress.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
if you
true.
don't like trap music, change the station. You know, and that's another thing because okay, if that's stressing you out, like if I'm lost driving, I'm lost. I turn the radio off because any of it is going to stress me out.
Right. It's too
Uh,
much to concentrate on.
right. So I'm like shit. And my family, you turned the radio off. Yeah, I got to until I find where we're going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely
Uh,
agree with that.
Number 5, take regular breaks during work. And Lord have mercy, don't discuss work problems with your coworkers during a break. Give yourself a break. You're taking a break from work. So why are you discussing work? Why are you discussing Jenny, the Karen, at work?
Right.
You on break. You can discuss that later, baby, or after work, or before. But when you're on break, take a break.
Absolutely.
Like that shit.
I just want to interject. I had a warehouse job once, and during all of our breaks and our lunch, we would play spades. So we didn't get to play the traditional spades where you just won whoever had the most books at the end of break. That's who won. So it wasn't, the whole spades game that you got to play, but we truly did not. I mean, we checked out completely. We did not think about anything to do with work while we were on break. We just talked and laughed and played spades, and then we went back to work and got back into it. So yeah, you really have to completely check out during that time.
For sure. Take a walk, sit outside, listen to your favorite song,
Right.
do something different, but you're on break. I used to go to Office Depot, saying, I check in. Um, I go to a certain, I ain't gonna name it, a certain coffee house,
Mm-mm.
and I get there like 40 minutes ahead of time. Go to that coffee house so I could relax before work. Go to that coffee house. I go into the break room, read. I had it down to a science. Then I go to the bathroom. I check in 2 minutes beforehand. They were complaining about that. You were here 40 minutes ago. You just checked in beforehand. I said, I checked in before my time. And what
Right.
the hell I do with my time? I could get here 10 hours before. Well, you walk into the store 10 hours before we expect you to work. I said, are you out your mind? Are you out your mind? So that's
That's
really
exactly what was stressing you
what
out.
the conversation happened when he talking about whooping my ass and all the manager. Because he didn't like me. So I'm like, I don't have to check in when you tell me to check in.
Right.
If I checked in after, or if I checked in and wasn't working, then I go to Starbucks or wherever I go, right? If that happened, then okay, I can see you complain. I check in beforehand, before everybody else. So what are you talking about? Except you, because you watching what I'm doing,
Right.
you know. So let your breaks be your breaks, and don't let motherfuckers break you
Right.
by telling you have to do otherwise. It's your break. Okay? And my wife working in the food industry, she's working at this Gladys and Ron. Today's a day of just exposing these motherfuckers. And she
They've
worked
had some
14 hours
exposure.
and they couldn't take any breaks.
Wow.
Bathroom breaks, none of that shit. So they would sneak off and take it. You can't take a bathroom break, let alone a 15-minute break, a 30-minute break, no lunch breaks, none of that. That's against the law. Okay, but they would do it. And I'm sure that's not the only restaurant that does that. All right, number 6. Don't give more than necessary importance to your financial status. Live within your means and do the best you can with what you got. A lot of distress might be due to keeping up with the Joneses. It's important to know that it's possible to be perfectly happy without being wealthy. I think most people here know that. And on that, join us for the book launch of Dr. Jared Ball's book, The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power 2. Okay. So you can get The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power now and read that. And then when you get to July 1st, get book 2.
Okay.
Okay. That launches on July 1st, right here on Black Power Media.
Yeah, I definitely need to read the first one.
Jared didn't pay me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a worthy book. Now, I just launched a book myself, fiction book called Omiran, right? It's Sword and Soul. So you've heard of Sword and Sorcery. Sword and Soul is sword and sorcery told through a African lens.
Okay.
So that's Omiran, right? It's about, if you heard of Gundam or Mecha, it's Mecha in Sword and Soul. Okay. So
Mercy.
my daughter Kikiola is saying hello. All right. So, oh yeah, you can take the charger. Here you go, dear. Wait. Okay. Excuse me, y'all. My wife wanted to use the charger. I gotta get used to muting the phone when they come. All right.
Yeah,
So,
we want to hear Okikiola.
so number 7.
Oh, you know what, Bob? I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't know if I should say this on the show because this actually is a good idea business wise. But those machines that they have that play soothing sounds, they should have a baby on those machines, like a baby babbling.
Yeah, that'd be
That should be
nice.
one of the noises. Yeah.
You should have said that later because somebody, believe me, somebody gonna be doing it now.
Right. Yeah. I know. I should have saved that.
Nice. Or listen to those sounds. Oh, that's another thing for relaxation too, which I didn't put here, which I listen to quite often. ASMR, autonomous stimulated meridian response is what that is. So ASMR, you know, some of those sounds that kind of give you like a tingly feeling or whatever, or some sounds that put you to sleep or what have you. Some people call it white noise. Well, those sounds help with depression. They help with distress. But I use when I'm writing, I play those in the background. Look, don't play them too loud, and now you're focusing. But I play them low in the background when I'm writing. Either I'm playing that in the background, or I'm playing, and that's more than I play the different shows on Black Power Media, but I have to replay them because I can't really focus on them when I'm writing. Right. But with
Right.
ASMR, you're hearing this now. Some people they have different ones. Some person talking in audible speech, and people into that, and some people whisper, tapping sounds, or what have you. Right. So ASMR is good. So those baby babbling sounds would probably be great for ASMR. I'm surprised nobody in ASMR has done that. The hair clipper sounds and all kinds of stuff is out there. Right. Every
Absolutely.
black ASM artist, I got them in my playlist that I listen to. A couple white ones too, but the big kahuna, if you will, I don't know if that's even racist to say that, excuse me, but the big person in ASMR used to be this sister called China Unique. But she got away from doing it. Her videos would have like 2 million views, and she did at least one video a week. It was that popular, and that many people are into ASMR. So, it helps me. Okay, now um, let go of things that aren't in your control. That's number 7.
It's huge.
Okay, or that are beyond your control. Watching the news report of an incident over and over is not going to make it go away or change anything that has already happened. All it will do is mess with your mind and cause stress. Don't feel guilty about not watching the news if it's causing you stress.
Yeah, Bo.
You should be up on what's going on, but if it's distressing you, you leave that alone. In the morning, it used to be. I used to tell my wife, "Oh my God, look what happened." She's sending me. She loves sending. She still does that, sending me all kinds of videos, different stuff that's going on. And I told her when I first get up, don't send me. I can't. When I first get up, have that shit in my mind.
Yeah, Bo.
I can't. You know, um, because I get so angry with shit. We started talking about it. I get so goddamn angry, with the way shit is going. Boy. And just so you know, the definition of depression is an anger with self, with the world. What's the third one? It's with self, with the world. It's a negative view of self, not just anger, but a negative view of self, the world, and it's something else. The third one, right?
Mm.
And even though I know, okay, I know who the enemy is. I know I don't have a negative view of the world.
Yeah, Bo.
The world didn't fuck us over or continue to fuck us over. People in this world continue to fuck us over. That's what it is. It's the world is negative view of self, others, and the world. I think it's and the world, right? That's depression. That's the definition.
Okay.
Now, for me, that doesn't mean okay. A person is you see the police, you should have a negative view. They earn that shit, right?
Yeah,
But
Bo.
it's your wife, your husband, your sibling, if they're not harming you. I add that caveat. Now, the way that I was taught it, they didn't add a caveat, but you got to. We've been through too much shit to not have a negative view of certain things,
Right.
right? But if you're just viewing people who haven't really harmed you, they may have insulted you, but they haven't really harmed you as negative without having evidence of that, well, that is heading towards distress. It ain't about them, then it's about you. You got to worry about your health.
Yeah, Bo, absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought this up, Baba, because it reminded me of something. And shout out to Belay, but this is something that he said. He didn't say it in these words this week, but it reminded me of something. And there's been a story this week, and there are frequently stories in the news that we tend to make light of. Sometimes they're about very, very heavy subjects. But, then the memes start coming out with, all the different jokes to do with this particular subject. And like you just mentioned, not watching the news and not getting into all of that and thinking about all of that all the time. The thing about making light of certain things is that it can diminish you. If you're making so light of something that is such a heavy subject and something that you should really be viewing seriously, but it has something to do with the enemy, or it has something to do with something that maybe you don't find very pleasant, it can still diminish you to be the person that's actually making jokes about it, or that's participating in that. So that's something that we really have to be careful about.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of times when a person is diminishing things, that is a way of not dealing with that thing too, right?
Right.
Um, sister, I know I talked about this before. Sister, daughter, well, her ex husband is picking up her daughter that's not by him and taking her, uh, out to eat and all that, picking her up early from school, taking her out, buying her outfits. And so she's like, what the hell's going on? They went to a hotel, talking about just to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The daughter said, we didn't have sex. We just, were at the hotel relaxing. She was, I think, about 16 at the time. It's not his child, by the way. Well, she tells her current husband, and they call me in to, intervene, to intervene. I'll say it. I'm about to say to visit him, to intervene, to find out what's going on. And as I'm talking to her, I said, well, if I find out certain this, this may have to happen. This, she said, well, you know, Kill Bill, motherfucker. And I said, well, sister, so and so, yeah, handle it the way you handle it, goddamn. I said, this is sound strange. I said, let me give her. So I give her a real graphic image of what could happen. She said, handle it the way, in the streets, the way the streets do it. I look at her husband, I said, she's not being serious enough. So
Right.
I said, right in front of her, I said, she would end up uh, talking to the police.
Right.
Or making mistakes in the way she's saying things because it's not serious enough to her.
Right. When reality actually hits.
Right. I said, so I'm out of the equation. I'm out of the equation. I can give you recommendations, but I'm out of the equation. And I took myself out of that situation. This is both of them, my comrade. So I was going to help them with that situation that I know they're not fit to handle. Right. But I didn't know they would not. Well, at least she's not that fit. She was not fit at all to deal with the reality of what had to happen in that situation. Okay. And it was never solved. It was found out what happened. It was never resolved.
Right.
Um, Number 8, read a book, solve a puzzle, play a board game or tabletop role playing game. Enjoy yourself doing things that don't use electronics except maybe to take notes, and even do that by hand if possible. Right. We got to get back into doing things that aren't just so reliant on electronics. And we're all relying on electronics. We're dealing with electronics right now. But to deal with distress, deal with, I call them analog things, right? You know, read a book, write, play play chess, play Monopoly, uh, play one of my role playing games. You know,
Hmm.
play. You ain't got to play that super well known that everybody knows the name of. Um, that just got in trouble because it is a, you know, it's a mega corporate. It's part of a mega corporation. It's part of Hasbro, right? And boy, some people are saying it's the end of it from the shit they did 4 months ago.
Oh,
Well, um, you know, you can. There's other independent role playing games you can play, and if you're gonna do that, I would say do mine. You know,
for
they're
sure.
great and they're made specifically for us. But do something to de-stress that you can enjoy. Number 9, your mood affects your stress level significantly. If your house is a mess, it's much easier to fly off the handle at a situation than if everything is orderly and clean. If your house is a mess and you clean your house, you can feel the difference in the energy.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah,
you say, I feel the different energy, that's the energy in you. You're responding to it because it's a cleaner environment. Okay. So it's having a good effect on you. Keep your environment tidy and clean. It will do wonders for your mood. Okay. Number 10, finally, learn to be mindful of your actions throughout the day. Be aware of changing situations, emotions, and thought processes. This will help you to identify stressful situations as they arise.
yeah,
When in a
both.
stressful situation, either vacate the premises immediately or practice one of the above quick and effective methods. Okay.
Right. And that actually brings to light the importance of journaling and also just writing things down throughout the day, even if it's not, quote unquote, like a journal type entry.
Right.
But if you start feeling yourself going down a particular path, keep track of what's been happening to you throughout that day, the kind of thoughts that you had just prior to starting to feel that way, or as far back as you can remember. And you'll start to see, oh, when I hang around my brother-in-law, or when I look at these certain type of movies, or when I do XYZ, I start kind of going down the rabbit hole. And keeping track of that, keeping a record of that can really help you. Obviously, you can tell that can help you from going down that path. So I think it's something. I have a friend who majored in psychology in school, and I spoke with him about this, and he was saying that that's one of the things that I think they have you do, like when you're in therapy, to start to make notes and make notes about when you're feeling a certain way, what has happened just prior to that. So that's something that can be very helpful for us. As far as herbal remedies go, there are several herbs that are great for stress and anxiety relief. You could prepare a cup of tea using chamomile, peppermint, lemon balm, or passion flower, or a combination of them. There are also several ready made herbal mixtures on the market. How you prepare and consume the tea is just as important as the herbs that you use. Excuse me, y'all. Heat the water and prepare the herbs with awareness. That means pay attention to what you are doing. Be very careful. I mean, careful in a real way. Think about what the word careful actually means. You have no idea how important keeping your mind in the present moment is. It's everything. You also want to make sure that you steep the tea. If you want tea to have a medicinal effect on you, you want to make sure that you're steeping it for at least 15 to 20 minutes. So, I know some very strong, like jasmine tea, green tea, can be extremely strong if you steep it for a long period of time. Generally, with the herbs that I make tea with, they're not as strong as jasmine or green. But if you want it to have the medicinal effect, you need to make sure that you're steeping it for 15 to 20 minutes. Drink the tea from a pretty cup. A nice cup. Maybe you have a glass cup that you don't use all the time. I have these glass mugs that I got from work that I love. Drink it from something like that you enjoy looking at, and sit in a comfortable space while you're enjoying the tea. Make sure that you're paying attention to your breathing while you're doing that, also very important. If tea isn't your thing, there are several herbs available in tincture form that work wonders to dispel anxiety and uneasiness. Ashwagandha, valerian root, which also helps with sleep, kava kava, and motherwort. They are usually taken in water, but check out reliable herbal sources for more information. And if it's a tincture, a lot of times it's in alcohol, so you can, it'll tell you on the label how many drops you should be taking, for one serving. You just take that. You can drink water after it if you like, but I don't tend to always do water with tincture, so it's up to you. An herbal bath is also a marvelous way to ease anxiety. Toss a handful of lavender, lemon balm, or chamomile flowers into a warm bath and sink into the fragrance of peace. Another thing, with baths, I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with Epsom salts. If you have like these different herbs that are mentioned, lavender, lemon balm, chamomile, if you have essential oil with those, what you can do is take a handful of Epsom salts and just drip a few drops of the essential oil of those into the Epsom salts. And what I'm told, I'm not a scientist, so I haven't studied this, but the Epsom salt binds to the salts, and that helps them to kind of mix and blend in with the water rather than just float on top of the water, which it can help you absorb them as far as like your body goes, and not just have like a oily mess sitting on top of the water is another thing that helps with.
I mean,
There are lots of other herbs as well.
the Epsom salts mixed with the what do you call it? The herbal essences.
No, with the essential oils. Yeah, if you have essential oils of these particular herbs, the lavender, chamomile in particular. But I mean, anytime you're taking a bath, say if you had like a fever or something like that, and you wanted to use essential oils in your bath, if you had like lemongrass, and ginger, which is what I would do, you drip a little bit into the Epsom salts so that you can, like I said, it binds with the salt and it kind of mixes better in the water.
Yeah, that's what my
So,
wife was doing when I was sick.
yeah, the lemongrass and ginger.
And then
Yeah, those are powerful against fever, in my experience. Those are very powerful against fever and infection, which could be something that's stressing you out. So
for sure.
yeah, make sure that you're taking care of yourself out here. Baths are so calming and have such a huge effect. And also, tea might not be your thing right now, but can consider why that might be, because we think of a certain person, like we talk about shea butter. Bob, that's one thing that Bob talks about is the shea butter folks out there who kind of um are soft, and what I'm saying, don't take seriously the fact that we need to be able to defend ourselves out here. We think of those as the people who are drinking the herbal teas. And so when you are making the herbal tea, you might be kind of taking yourself too seriously, thinking, I'm not one of those type of people. But are you the type of person that wants to take care of themselves and, relax and de-stress yourself? If you are, then you're a tea person. So
I,
get yourself out there and find some of those nice, good herbal blends of tea and relax.
when I make my tea, that's also part of my relaxation.
Yeah, Bo.
So I don't.
Absolutely.
So my wife said, "I'll make you some tea." No, 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 no. I'll make my tea,
Right.
right? Because there's a ritual, if you will, of how I go through it. My own creation, and
Right.
with
Yeah,
it.
and that's
But
all it has to be.
it's a calming thing for me the way I do it. So, um, and I do, of course. Everybody knows I drink coffee, but I drink tea as well, probably as much. Sometimes more. So sometimes I'll go for 30 days, no coffee, just tea. But I'm going to drink something, some form of hot liquid almost every day, almost every day,
Yeah,
uh,
but
because it relaxes me. Um, and I'm talking about it doesn't matter. It could be 180 degrees outside. Like if it was 180 degrees, we'd be really in danger. I don't know. It could be 100 degrees. I
oh
100
yeah,
and
definitely.
more when I was living in Phoenix. Easily more. 112 degrees. I'm still drinking tea.
Hmm.
And usually I won't mess with coffee when it's that hot.
Yeah, coffee has a different kind of thing to it, but tea is, especially herbal tea, is like water. I definitely count it among my water count for the day as long as I don't put any sweetener in it. Which,
Yeah.
some people agree with that or don't agree with it. But I mean, if you're consuming tea in a good amount, then you're really drinking a lot of water. You don't want to also be drinking a whole bunch of water on top of that necessarily.
Yes.
But
And
then
let me make a quick point on that too. So there's a myth about because coffee also is part of your water intake. People say coffee dries you out. It is not. Coffee's a diuretic. It will make you piss. So
Mhm.
it can dehydrate you because it makes you piss, right? Um, Unless you're a heavy consumer like me, it doesn't. Like some people makes them defecate. It doesn't do that to me. It doesn't make me defecate or urinate any more than I already am. And that we need to talk on that. Um, so I've been uh, very congested
Right.
and frequently urinate, right? But it's not just me. My father-in-law, another host on this show. So be careful out there because I don't know what's going on.
Right. I've
But
heard people say maybe something's blooming that's like causing all of this to go on. But I mean, I might be able to hear in my voice like there's something going on in here.
yeah, and I can hear it. Of course, I can feel it, but I can kind of hear me myself. Um, and like at first, and this has been going on for about a month with me. At first, I wouldn't go to the bathroom. You wouldn't see me going to the bathroom doing the show, but I have to go I'll be right back, right? Um, because I mean, it's like, damn, either
Right.
I'm blowing shit out my nose or I'm urinating.
Which
Um,
means that you're cleaning it out. Thank
Whatever it
goodness.
is,
You don't want it to be the opposite of that.
right?
It's much
Whatever it
better to
is, but
push it
just be
out.
careful because there is something out there,
Right. Most definitely.
you know.
And we don't know the source. So
Right.
let's just make sure we're being careful. One other thing I wanted to mention, we talked about peppermint. Peppermint is very good if you have headache also. So, drinking peppermint tea, having peppermint essential oil that you diffuse or that you sometimes you could just have the roller of peppermint that you just inhale. That's good for headache. Lavender also good for headache. Lavender is one of the essential oils um, that you don't have to put into another oil. Um, Lavender you can actually use directly, and just make sure that you find a good quality of 100% trustfully organic lavender. And
What about
you can rub
you?
it on your temples and also inhale that. That's something that can really help with stress and headache. Peppermint also helps things to penetrate. So if you have something that you're drinking a tea for a certain reason, if you pair that with peppermint, that can help that particular thing to penetrate and increase as well.
Now, what about neem oil?
I don't know a lot about neem. As far the things that I know about neem is that it's good for infection, and that's the kind of thing that I've sort of used it for. But as far as stress, I would have to do more research for neem oil, or the family can do research if you're interested in using neem. I've had it for I know it's good for your teeth also. I've had it in toothpaste, but I'm not sure about stress. But it would be great if it was, because I mean, think about brushing your teeth as a meditation, and you're getting all that good. I mean, it's right inside your head, so you're getting to inhale all of that. That would be great.
For sure. Um, Man, mint is not good for testosterone. Okay. Um,
I heard that lavender wasn't. I'd never heard that about mint.
hmm,
And I've heard that about lavender for young men or boys, not for grown men.
hmm. I need to take a bath because my back was tight. Yeah, that's good. Or take a hot shower. Probably not like my wife. My wife takes nuclear showers. It scares me. I think women can from and this is from my observation. Okay, not from something scientific at all, but from my observation, women can take heat more than brothers. I I get in the shower behind my wife. I'm jumping out that bad boy, and that has happened before. Before we were married. We've been married 20 years, but I it's no way. My wife be like, this too cold in here. It'd be hot as hell. I had the shower hot. It's cold. And I'm like, shit, boy, this guy's so hot. I can't take it, right? So whatever you can take. And it's funny, I got a high pain
Right,
tolerance, but boy, I can't take when water too hot, I can't do it. When the water's so hot, you get goosebumps.
right.
It has water. Okay.
You're that stress. You don't want to stress yourself out with water that's way too hot for you. You definitely want to tailor it to whatever your particular tastes are.
Now, my tea that I drink or coffee, people be like, man, this is ridiculous. I had a brother, I'm gonna soon come to the house. And I said, you want coffee? He wouldn't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. It's disgusting. Now he drinks coffee. So this
Yeah,
woman, the funny thing is, I said, I tried for years, but your woman tried one time you're drinking coffee. That's the power of a loved one, your significant other. They can get
yeah,
you to do
bro.
shit you wouldn't normally do. And now he loves coffee. I said, man, I've been trying for
Get
years.
out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't
But
know that.
I made him tea. I said, I'll make you some chai tea. He said, okay. Chai tea is redundant. It's chai, means tea. But I made him the chai. And I made us both chai. And I'm, drinking. He said, God damn. He said, man, how in the world are you drinking that? But that's how I drink my stuff. When I order from a coffee house, because I need it extra hot, which ain't the best way to make it. So I went to a barista class recently and learned the best taste is done the way it should, not when you're taking that shit up to 180 degrees.
Okay.
The best is 124 to 145 degrees to heat your lattes or what have you, right? But I take that shit up to about 180. And
So extreme.
how in the world is how I like it, right? I drink that, clears my head so I can write better. If that shit's 100 degrees or something, I'm like, it's too tepid. I can't drink it. I can't drink it. You can keep that. That's why I immediately pour my tea or my coffee into my thermos. So it keeps that shit hot
Right.
throughout my writing process. Sometimes I bring
Mhm.
it to class. You see my thermos at class.
Yes, I have seen
Uh,
it
Now
many
that's never
many
coffee.
situations.
I'm not gonna drink coffee, and I can't say I've never done it, but I'm not nowadays. I'm not gonna drink coffee and train, right? We be It getting so hot, goddamn, there's no way I'm gonna do that. But I will bring the tea. I drink tea. Have some type of herbal tea. Uh, Particularly something that picks me up, maybe some shrooms in there or something. No, I was just joking. Ain't no shrooms. Uh,
Yeah, right.
and the last thing I'm gonna say on that one time, um, I took so some folks gave me some chocolate infused with mushrooms, right? And I took it early in the morning, thinking I'd be good, before class. I took it. I took it 8 in the morning. Class on Sundays is at 2 o'clock, 2 to 4. And as I can both like pick me up, as I'm walking down our ramp at the house, I started cracking up. And I said, for no reason, I said, ah, shit, I'm still high. So I got in the car and I'm laughing. I can both like say, what's going on? So I tell him, he's like, uh-oh, you gonna be good for class? I said, oh man, I'll be straight. I'll be straight. I'm doing a technique. I don't know if you were there on me, Niggy, and I was showing a fulcrum throw, which I've done thousands of times, a fulcrum throw on Balagoon D. But instead of fulcrum throw, you put your leg behind the person, it's planted. You don't kick their leg out, it's planted, and you bring their torso, you put the pressure on their torso, and they go over that leg. Well, I do it so hard, I'm up in the air. Me and Balagoon D. I said, oh my God, I done this too hard. And we let boom, right? And I said, you okay? He said, yeah. He said, you okay? You threw me pretty hard. I said, oh my God. I said, I'm sorry about that. And we get up and I start cracking up. Everybody looking. I can bubble out, walks off laughing because you already know. And so I had to tell everybody, I said, you know what? I'm going to show the techniques, but I'm not going to get in with y'all. I'm going to sit down because in my mind, and I told him in my mind as I did it, I said, I'm going to plant Balagoon D through the floor. I don't normally think like that. I'm boom, right? And so you see me do fulcrum throws. We ain't up in the air.
Right.
I'm up in the air with him, and I came down on him, right? Whoa. It was so hard. Like, oh, shit. Be like, oh. And I can both like walked away laughing because, Baba high as hell. And that voice told me, just plant him through the floor, right? I said, I'm going to sit down. I'll show you the technique. So I'm showing them the technique to do without touching the person. And then I can both being experienced enough, he knew exactly what I was doing. So then he showed them, what to do. And I said, I'll never go to class how nothing again. Nothing. That's one of 2 times that I did that. The other time, it wasn't my class. I was with a friend at his class. He wanted to drink. Now we were drinking. I said,
You've told us this one before. Yeah, I remember.
He like, yeah, I got class. It's fine. I do it all the time. I was like, man, shit, you crazy as hell. But okay. So we drinking and shit. And bourbon, not beer or something lighter. Bourbon. And I'm fine. I only drink, I know my limit. I drank 1 cup. He's just drinking. And so class starts. He lines them up. He said, you want to come on in class? Okay, I'll join your class. We standing there, and I'm looking at him. He tells them something to do. They working on it, and he's standing there. He's out. So I kind of tip over. I said, hey, man, He said, I said, you sleeping? He said, oh, it's all right. Kind of smiles. So then he breaks them up after they trained the way. I say, hey, I'm going to show you. I had a dream about how to teach eye jabs. Because Wing Chun, they do what's called BUGs, eye jabs, right? That's their big thing. Can't really train it, but so he He said, I figured out how to train. It came in the dream. He said, I go beside your face like this. So he's going beside this sister's, well, not but a white woman's face. This woman's face. Shoo, shoo, shoo. He's going touching, touching the side of her face. He said, you train it like this. And it's going cool. But he doesn't notice his finger, his baby finger open. Because he's drunk. And so he goes to the side of her face, and that baby finger went in her eye. Well, I get tipsy. She can tell 2 beers, I'm out. So 1 bourbon, I was buzzing. So he poked her in the eye, and I started goddamn laughing my ass off. I couldn't stop. She's on the ground. Well, I say, somebody get a doctor. All right, she's the doctor. She's the doctor. She's fucked up. So can't nobody help her?
That's terrible.
And people that came all the way from Michigan to train with him. He was like known, so he had people coming from other states, and that kind of ruined him.
Yeah.
Because I'm laughing. He looks at me, start laughing. But he didn't poke this girl's eye. She had to go to the hospital. She's a surgeon.
Everyone sees.
Her surgery day, I don't know if they were over, but they were there for a while. She had to have a patch. So, don't, like I said, don't drink and drive. Don't drink and teach martial arts.
Or participate in martial arts.
Don't because really, thank God we were doing throws. If we had been working with a tool,
right?
Ain't no what my head would have, you know what I mean?
Right? So, yeah.
So I said, for me, never am I going to be doing anything. Not that I'm, that was my gift, giving me mushrooms, because I watched one of the students, they did mushrooms, and their eyes became so clear, and their speech, everything was so clear. And I mentioned it. Everybody, they said, everybody's been saying this to me, and I always said I would try, mushroom. I would try iboga if it had somebody, skilled giving that to me. Those things that are old, and I really don't do weed. I may, if I did, when I do, which is very rare, it's an edible. But so I was gifted those mushrooms. That it was a box of chocolate, right? Little box of chocolates. That lasted me for my birthday. My birthday is February 21st. I just took the last piece, because you could break it into little squares. I took the last little square probably last week or the week before. So I ain't like I just, just taking a bunch of them. 4 of them is, 1 to 3 is a microdose. 1 to 3 squares. 4 squares, I think it's called a macrodose. Right. The whole pack is 4 grams or 5 grams. That's called a heroic. Is it called a heroic? Is it heroic dose or something like that? Right. Because it's considered dangerous level. Mushroom's not going to kill you though. I've never heard of anybody. I'm not going to say
me either.
You won't overdose. I've never heard of it, but I do know. Kalinda Yee was doing 45 grams. 5 grams is considered the heroic dose. He was doing 45 grams. I don't know if it was a day or a week, but he was doing it often.
I think shrooms is one of those things that your tolerance increases as you continue to do them.
Starting off, you shouldn't start. I don't think he said you start off at 45, but you shouldn't. He said 5 is too weak. African man, 5 grams is weak. So I'm like, shit. I took the goddamn I took two once, and let me see what two is like. Oh no! I couldn't be taking no 20, 10, shit, or even that whole box at one time. 2 hours gone. I'm like, I took the two. I'm pieced out. I laid back. I'm looking at the world. The world's all nice and bright and shit. Then I sat up. I got to write. I'm like, weed. Now, weed would knock me out. I wrote a whole book. I ate some brownies, infused brownies by mistake with my coffee. I was snacking. I ate the whole goddamn thing. I was jacked up. Wrote a book while I'm high off the thing, and the book, shit didn't make no sense. So I had to go back. But with mushroom, I
Wow.
was writing my ass off. Everything made sense, and it opened up even mechanics of a game that I was stuck on.
Oh, okay. I can see
So
that.
I give it, I mean, like, damn, people ain't bullshitting when they say it opened up extra receptors and shit like that.
Hmm.
So it does, and I felt good for about 2 hours, 3 hours. And then I was like, oh, whoa. The world's like, whoa. The world decided it's going to become an acrobat. I said, no. But it ain't like an alcohol dizzy. It was just, I'm like, oh, I control it. But if you just let yourself go with your thoughts, not focus, your shit will be woo for me.
Right.
I'm like, holy, whoa, you know. And then I'm laughing at shit and I said, I thought about if somebody kicked in this door right now, how would I handle it? I don't know if I'd be as good as shot. I may have to try it and then go to the range. I don't know if I'd be as good as shot like that,
Right.
you know. Or I don't want to be like cracking up if I had to kill somebody that came in this house. And we talked about trivializing because I be laughing at shit
Hmm.
out of nowhere. So you know, but I will say, man, for your creative centers, woo boy, it opens up shit. You know.
It's funny because we talk about how
Yes.
when there's certain substances or whatever that you might be used to having around, that you should be keeping them in your go bag.
Yeah.
Again, like Bob was talking about training with these particular substances, instead of trying to bury it in maybe kind of guilt or whatever you might be thinking about as far as liking to smoke this or liking to do that. Train, see if you can do what you need to do when you have this certain thing in your system. You have to find a way to be careful when you're doing it, but it's wise to figure out if you can work with these things, and if you can't work with them, then you need to think about that.
Now, so you hear people say don't operate a firearm when you're drunk. Um, hmm. I'm conflicted with it, right? Uh, I don't think you should just be walking around the streets with no goddamn firearm when you're drunk. But I would say train, maybe by yourself, or somebody else is sober with you. You drink, don't get sloppy drunk, or you're gonna fuck up. You may shoot yourself. But take one drink, whatever you can tolerate. You may drink a beer, shoot. Well, first shoot like sober. Then drink a beer, shoot. See if your shooting is the same. If that shit changes, I would say don't go no further with the alcohol. But from there, begin to train drinking one beer. That also lets you know that if your shit changes, you get used to shooting under one beer. That also lets you know you don't need to go no further because you're
Right.
not going to be fit to defend yourself and your family.
Yeah, you have to know your tolerance levels in all things.
So I would say do that. Most people who are in combat arms, who are in the military, they just shot while drunk in combat.
Wow.
You get drunk while you're out there. Some people get high, right? trying to deal with the stress, survive it, or the fear. They get high. Um, I didn't know any operators that somebody special forces. I didn't know any operators that got drunk or high while on an operation. Okay,
Right.
unless they did it away from us, we didn't know.
Excuse
But
me.
everybody was functional and aware and whatnot.
Right.
And even talking about these things like Adderall or whatever it may be, I don't know if that would change how you shoot, how you move, how you function, how you work a blade or whatever. But if you're taking it, train with it so you know,
Right.
and put it in your go bag. If and if you're addicted to anything, put that in your go bag. Uh, unless if you get over the addiction, take it out. But because if you got to run out the house, you got an addiction, and you really are starting to shake, you want to take a drink. Take a drink.
Right.
Because you're worthless to us if you're just in the throes of the DTs, man.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just the reality. Most people ain't gonna tell you that, but most people have not been through what I've been through to know we got to have you functional.
Right.
We can deal with the addiction later.
Right. When things are more stable, or when
Right.
you get out of acute danger.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, well.
All right, y'all. Peace, Yapo Yapa.
Peace,
Peace,
y'all.
Eugene.
Yeah, everyone. I
Evan
Manifesto
Special.
James, 40J
James.
Blaze.
Yep.
We love y'all.
Yes. Um, Everybody in there, Casey McIver. Love y'all. Stay black or whatever it is that you may be, and stay safe out here.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.
And stay stress free.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Take a
Oh,
while.
yeah, Jackie Lukeman, thank you for
Drink some
coming
tea.
through.
Yes.
That
Greetings,
was
sis.
wonderful. That was an honor. Thank you. Peace.